So now we have the two new models. One is a bookshelf speaker. It's called the Mini. The name is obvious. It's just 32 centimeters high. It comes with a stand, and it's a two-way speaker.
Mm-hmm. What drivers does it use?
We are using ScanSpeak drivers. Actually, started with the Arabesque, the glass one. We use the illuminator woofers in different size. So in the glass one we have bigger diameter woofers, and in the smaller one, smaller two models, smaller illuminators. They are made of specifications, of our specifications. We use in the two new models. We went to a different concept in terms of the tweeters. In the big glass Arabesque we use a ribbon tweeter, which is made by Ralph from Serbia. It's a fantastic, very high quality ribbon. Also a very fast sound. The beryllium we use now from ScanSpeak makes the sound a little bit different. And the third model of the aluminium line is now called the 3, Arabesque 3, for two reasons. It's a 3-way, so it has also mid-range, also from ScanSpeak. And the third one is a floor-standing model. It's a very slim design, so it doesn't look like a big speaker. It sounds as a huge speaker. It's a 3-way, so it has a closed mid-range cabinet inside. The outside design is actually as beautiful as the glass one. Of course, it's very different. The glass one is, as I said, it's a kind of sculpture. It's a kind of piece of art.
Was it difficult to shape the aluminium panels in the same way that the glass panels were shaped?
Well, it had different efforts. The glass ones, as I told, they are glued to each other. With the aluminium panels, we use a kind of brace inside, and then you can screw the panels on the brace. Okay. So it's a different concept and a different construction, but it doesn't mean it's easier to make them. So we use hundreds of screws to adjust the panels. The walls are not so thick as the glass walls. All the panels have different thickness. It's also for the resonance.
Sure. Yeah. Were you able to measure some of the resonance characteristics of the aluminium panels and then compare that to the glass panels and see what the differences were in terms of resonance?
That's more your practical practical adjustment.
No, yes, that for us it's very interesting that with the COMSOL program you can very accurately predict all kind of resonances as long as the models are right. So the difference in designing now is that you work with engineers on 3D models. If they are made well, then they should perform just like you expected, and they do. We also found out a couple of interesting things about resonances, actually by making models for the program. The inside of the loudspeaker has a very special form. In marketing we say it has very little resonances, but the most specific thing is that it doesn't have one resonance that remains long. So resonance can build up, but only after a longer time. That means on an impulse nothing will happen. And we experimented with many shapes, and it turned out that this was one of the 3 shapes I think we have, yes. 2 good ones and one we still are working on.
Sure.
So we have 2 suitable shapes. One is the Arabesque shape that doesn't have a standing wave somewhere that will build up immediately. It takes about 6 full cycles before it starts building up. And that's very interesting, because in music usually music is dynamic, it's changing all the time. So during that music, the notes are so short that resonance doesn't build up. The exception would be that you would use higher frequency constant tones that don't switch off, but there's not much music where you can find that in.
That's right. Yeah.
And here you see an interesting new development, that you have to make a product that you have to balance out certain aspects. There's no ideal loudspeaker, not from us, not from other brands. They all have certain virtues, but you can trade off sometimes one thing for something less worse.
Sure.
And
I guess I was going to say the benefit of using aluminium enclosure is that you can actually shape, and because you're milling the panels, you can shape the interior of the panels in a different way. Is that possible?
Exactly, yes, and you can predict much more accurate than with glass. With glass, there's a little bit of problem that there is tolerance in the thickness of the glass.
Yeah.
It's standard in glass industry, and the tolerance for aluminum is way less. So it's easier to predict. Although I must say, even with the glass loudspeaker, probably because of the 90mm panel thickness all throughout, we didn't have any deviation from the standard, from the design.
Sure.
So it's accurate enough, but if we couldn't downscale it, that was the problem. With downscaling the glass loudspeaker, we ran into all kind of new problems that we really couldn't solve. We took 2 years to do it, and so we cancelled the whole smaller glass loudspeaker.
Sure.
We have put some prototypes on display. They looked particularly nice, actually,
Right.
but they wouldn't do.
Just couldn't get the performance.
No, we didn't get the performance.
So you had to downscale also the thickness of the glass.
Oh, okay.
And that makes it not working
Sure.
audible.
Yeah.
So that was not the way to go.
Sure. Okay, now because of the departure from your original core business in cables, okay, what and especially Siltech, you're doing electronics now.
Yes.
What were the reasons to diverge into another area like that, or diversify into another?
Well, it's very simple. We are growing quite rapidly, even in the years where they called it the financial crisis, and that happens since 20 years. So the last 20 years, every year we have a good year. If your business gets bigger, as you mentioned before, the cable business is very much saturated. By principle, we only can cater to the top end. So let's say starting at 500 Australian dollars for a set of interconnects and higher. Under that we cannot compete, because then you need different kind of factory, a different scale of operating, lower paid workforce, so you have to go abroad. And we take pride in making everything in Holland, with our own machines, our own people, without having other people involved in that. So if you want to be a specialist and you want to grow, the best thing in our view is to complete the whole audio chain. So amplifiers we can produce, we did 20 years ago. We sold that business, that was called Sphinx, some people may remember it. It was reasonable high-tech electronics. We sold the brand. So we kept updating our laboratory, so we have all the tools to design it.